Another day, another fresh set of games on the front page of Steam for the Steam Summer Sale. Today is June 25, so let's go into all the games as there's a lot on sale as always. So, let's begin with a game that everyone ever has heard of, Undertale. This game's pretty cheap ordinarily, only $6.99, but today, and for the rest of the Steam sale of course, it is 30% off, making it £4.89. Given the insane popularity of Undertale, I don't think I need to speak too long on what kind of game it is, but essentially it is a very well written, character driven RPG with bullet hell combat, and often makes fun of the various tropes of RPGs and often breaks the rules of that and its own rules. It is a seriously strong game. There's a reason it's popular. It has very well written characters, a great story, and just is generally great. So check it out if you're interested. Next up on our list, however, it is a game that often tempts me each time it goes on sale. It has been on sale a few times. It is none other than The Forest. Now, this is a game that can be used with virtual reality, but it is also a game that is in early access still. It's been in early access for a long time, but it always looks really promising, I must say. Basically, you're a lone survivor of a jet crash and need to stay alive in a mysterious forest, battling against a society of cannibalistic mutants. It is a sort of survival horror game, but mixed with sort of survival elements, building elements. You know, you've got to build trees, make a camp, that sort of thing. I have always been tempted by this each time it goes on sale, and it usually seems to be the same price it is now, which is 20% off, making it £8.79. If you're at all interested, I would say look at some reviews and stuff. I myself haven't played it. It just always tempts me every time, but the fact that it's still in early access puts me off. I don't tend to play early access games. I would rather much wait till the game is complete so I can see it in all its full glory, but this game is still looking as tempting as ever. Next up is a game that is one of the biggest success stories for Kickstarter, that being Pillars of Eternity. This game is 60% off, making it a fairly decent £13.99, or you can get the Champion Edition for £17.99, and they also have all the DLC reduced at various prices, as well as the expansion pass for the game at 25% off. So if you already own the main game, then perhaps pick up the expansion at a slightly reduced price. This is an RPG from the makers of Fallout New Vegas. It is very sort of throwback, sort of old school RPGs, sort of top down kind of feel to it. It's a time sink, a massive time sink. So while I'm sure I'd love it, I haven't had the time to play it unfortunately, but it's not a bad price, 60% off, you can't go too wrong with this game. I've heard nothing but good things. There's a reason that this game has gotten a lot of praise since it did so well on Kickstarter. Next up is Rainbow Six Siege, which of course is a multiplayer only FPS from Ubisoft, and it has pretty damn good reviews on Steam. It is 40% off, making it £17.99, a much sort of easier sell than the full price of £30 for a multiplayer only game. Now, I myself haven't played this because while I've sunk a lot of time into Overwatch, multiplayer only FPS is usually not my type of thing, especially more sort of military focused ones like this. This is obviously based on sort of tactical play, you know, you've got to kind of work with your team. It's going to be, you know, extract a target or other such things. So if you're more into sort of team-based FPS, I would definitely say this is probably a safe bet. I have heard lots and lots of good things from this game, despite the fact that it is a full-price multiplayer-only game. But we've seen, excuse the loud traffic, we've seen with Overwatch that can offer a lot of varied content, and I would say that this probably has more content on offer than Overwatch from what I've heard, to be quite honest. So if this if this looks like your bag, 40% off ain't a bad deal. And next up is a game that, or a franchise rather, that probably doesn't need much introduction, that being the Just Cause franchise. Now, while Just Cause 1 and 2 are, of course, included in this deal, there is a collection which has Just Cause 1 and 2 with all the DLC for 2 for 75% off, making it £3.24. So that's a much better deal than buying each game separately, as Just Cause 2 by itself is £2.49. However, Just Cause 3 is also in itself 50% off, making it £19.99. A not bad price, but I would say you're probably better off buying the Just Cause collection or Just Cause 2, as of course that is probably arguably the best one in the franchise. I myself, however, did do a video on Just Cause 3, so perhaps check it out if you're at all unsure. Lots of franchises today that need no introduction as well, as next up we have The Walking Dead. So, what do we have? Well, we have The Walking Dead, the whole Series 1 for 75% off, making it £4.74. Season 2 is also 75% off, rather, making it again £4.74. And Michonne, a Telltale miniseries, is also reduced at 50% off, making it £5.49. I would heavily recommend the first season of The Walking Dead. I haven't actually played Season 2, actually. Probably need to get on that, and this is a fairly decent price to pick it up. But Season 1 is great. Telltale very much made their mark with the return of this series, where your choices do actually have impact. Not as much impact as they'd like you to believe, but they do actually have some impact. Well written characters, meaningful choices, and an interesting world, and obviously a different story and characters to the main show of The Walking Dead. So if you're interested in Telltale's take on the point-and-click adventure, sort of modernized version of that, then I'd say check this one out. If you like stories, you like characters, this is for you. If you like action, not so much. But this is a fantastic series to put Telltale on the map for a reason, after all. Let's move away from franchises briefly to something new, Off-World Trading Company. Now, this is another game that I haven't played myself, but I've heard a lot about. It is 50% off, making it £14.99. And we have the Deluxe Edition at 50% off, making it £22.49. That has the DLC, well, 3 DLC packs and an extra key for a friend, which is a pretty nice deal. Now, this is an RTS, kind of, in a very interesting take on one. Instead of sort of attacking your enemy with, like, guns or rockets or whatever, you basically defeat them with capitalism. You basically, you're sort of taking control of an economy. You want to basically colonize, this planet, get all these resources, steal resources from your opponent who's trying to do the same thing. So you're basically trying to start a business, and you're supposed to make your resources worth more than theirs. You're supposed to sell things that are worth more than theirs. Try and make your company worth more stocks than their company, and you basically want to try and pay people to cause riots in their company. Buy up a load of stock of something so that when they're trying to sell it, it's worthless or whatever. All sort of dirty, underhanded tricks that you can do to try and put your company on top of your opponent. I have heard a lot of good things about this game, and it does sound really fun. A really interesting take on the RTS formula. No combat at all, only dirty capitalist tricks. I'd say check out some reviews, but judging from the reviews on Steam and what I've seen, this is definitely one to watch if you're at all interested in this particular genre. Moving back to franchises, however, it is now time for The Witcher. The Witcher franchise, of course, as we have the all things included in the Witcher universe, reduced. We've got the Witcher adventure game, 85% off, making it £1.04. Weirdly, the Witcher Enhanced Director's Cut is not actually reduced, which is a bit weird, but it is £6.99. I would say hold off on that because I got it myself for like £2 or something a couple of sales ago. So if you don't own that one, I'd say hold off. Witcher 2, however, is reduced at 85% off, making it £2.24. And The Witcher 3 is pretty tempting for me at 50% off, making it £17.49. Now, while that's quite a lot for a Steam sale game, we are talking about The Witcher 3 here. A game that has probably an entire warehouse full of awards and needs no introduction. It's probably one of the finest Western RPGs to come out in years. So there you go. I mean, I played it a little bit on console, but I want to play it properly on PC, so I'm very tempted by that myself, and you might be too. It's a pretty nice price for The Witcher. Staying on the franchise theme for a moment, we have the Sid Meier's Civilization franchise. And we have various games on offer here. We have the Civilization Beyond Earth Classics bundle. Again, apologies for the loud traffic outside. There's a loud person keeps going up and down the road outside where I am now. Apparently, he's using his loud engine to replace something else, if you know what I mean. Regardless of that, the Civilization Beyond Earth Classics bundle, 68% off, making it £15.99, considering it's normally £50, not bad. Beyond Earth itself, however, is 67% off at £9.89, Civ 5 is £4.99, 75% off. Civ 4 Colonization is £2.49, 75% off, and all the old ones are also here as well. The list is pretty damn long, but they get the idea. I mean, Civilization 4 Warlords, for example, is 74p, and the complete edition of Civilization 4 is 75% off, making it £3.74. So if you like Civ games, look no further. I don't think Civilization needs much of an introduction or explanation as to what it is, so let's move swiftly on, shall we? Another franchise for our plates now as we move swiftly on to Saints Row. So we have Saints Row 2 here, basically free at 75% off, making it £2.49. Saints Row the 3rd is pretty cheap as well, That's 75% off, making it £2.74. Saints Row 4 is £2.74 as well, and Get Out of Hell is once again £2.74. So they're basically throwing these games at you. Now, out of these, many would argue Saints Row 2 is the best. And of course, it kind of depends on your preference for the type of game. I mean, many people say that with Saints Row 4 especially, they very much jumped the shark. I mean, that sounds weird to say for a Saints Row series, but even Saints Row can jump the shark, apparently. But, you know, Saints Row 2 and 3 are definitely excellent games. Get Out of Hell is, of course, completely silly, but I myself am very tempted by that, as I have not played that yet, and £2.74 is an absolute steal for Get Out of Hell. A very silly game where you basically go into hell to save your boss's soul. Yeah. So, if you're into some weird, wacky GTR-style action, but completely on drugs and dialed up to like 20, Saints Row is for you. So let's move on, shall we? Next up is a very cool looking RPG by the name of Disgaea PC. Now, as you might tell by my intro there, this isn't a game I've played, but I might end up playing it because from the screenshots, it looks like a really cool old school RPG. It's a sort of strategy RPG. It looks very old school with some interesting twists to that old school formula. It is 25% off, making it £11.24, so it's not like overly cheap for the Steam sale, but the game isn't all that expensive to begin with. So it's not too bad a deal. It does have very positive reviews on Steam and looks really interesting. Some old school elements mixed in with some sort of interesting twists. And if you like your RPGs, this might be one for you. Next up is a franchise I have no personal experience with, so I'm just going to go through the prices, and that is Company of Heroes. So, what do we have? We have the franchise edition of Company of Heroes, which has an insane amount of content, has 9 items in it. It is 75% off, making it £16.74, and it's normally £66.99, so quite a steal there. If you just want all the things, it's probably the best option. Company of Heroes 2 Ardennes? Something. Assault, 75% off, making it £4.99. Company of Heroes 2 is also 75% off, making it £6.24. And you also have the original Company of Heroes at 70% off, making it £2.49. But you also have the Company of Heroes Complete Pack, which is 75% off, making it £4.99. And you also have Tales of Valor at 75% off at £2.49, and the same for Opposing Fronts. Staying on the theme of games I'm unfamiliar with, let's move on to Subnautica. This is another early access game, so do keep that in mind, and it is basically a sort of underwater exploration survival thingy. It actually looks pretty damn cool. I'm probably going to wait till this one's released. As I said, I very rarely play early access games. You basically craft equipment, you can pilot submarines, you can terraform your terrain, fight against wildlife, obviously get sort of loot, I guess, use it to craft things and that sort of thing. It has pretty nice reviews, and I have to say, looking at the gameplay and screenshots, this looks like a very strong game and a sort of an interesting setting for the sort of survival thing. I would actually like to see a sort of more story-driven experience in this really interesting looking world, but what we got is still damn interesting. I'm very much looking forward to seeing when it's finished. But for now, however, it is 40% off, making it £8.99. Not bad at all for what is looking, judging from the screenshots and so on, a very complete project. But do keep in mind that this is still in early access. Moving on from something unknown to something very familiar with Baldur's Gate 2 Enhanced Edition. Now, this is a game that, again, needs no introduction. It did have mixed reviews at first on Steam, but now overall it has very positive reviews. I'm sorry, I got the mixed away with the wrong round, excuse me. Overall very positive, but recently mixed, so do keep that in mind. However, it is 60% off, making it £5.99, an absolute steal. You also have the complete saga of Baldur's Gate, which is Baldur's Gate 2, and Siege of Dragonspear. That is 46% off, making it £24.27, and you also have the Infinity Collection, which has a load of stuff in it, making it 41% off at £51.77. This is an RPG that needs no introduction. This is one of the classics. I have no doubt that many of you listening have spent untold hours in the original of this game. I'd say check out reviews of the PC version on Steam, because as I said, recently it does have mixed reviews, so perhaps there's a patch or something that has upset some people, perhaps it's broken something. I say check that out before putting down your cash, as you always want to be careful, but £6 ain't bad, especially for the Steam sale. So tread carefully with the recent reviews, but I'd say check it out, and if it all looks kosher to you, then have at it. It's Baldur's Gate, where can you go wrong? Next up is a thing that isn't really a game, but more of a creation tool, Garry's Mod. Now this is something that's been on sale approximately 1 million times. That doesn't really need much introduction. It's basically being given away for free as well. That is 75% off, making it £1.74, and looking at the recent reviews are very positive and the overall views are overwhelmingly positive. I'd say this one is worth a bash if it looks like your type of thing. It is very much a physics sandbox. You basically just, they give you the tools, you create whatever you want, and you have a load of fun creating a load of stuff. There's not any predetermined goals. It's very much kind of like Minecraft, just like go be creative simulator, basically. Now that's it for the main games. However, there's a few more games further down the Steam page that I want to quickly go through. I'm not going to go through descriptions, I'm just going to go through the prices, and then I'm going to make my recommendations for today's sales on the front page. So, we have the Red Faction franchise at 75 to 90% off, Tales of Symphonia at 60% off, Assetto Corsa at 50% off, £14.99, Secret World at £8.49, the Rayman franchise at 50% off, Nobunaga's Ambition at £24.99, 50% off. State of Decay, Year 1 Survival Edition is 15% off, making it £19.54. The Excellent Papers, Please is 50% off, making it £3.49. Glory Darstotska. Kindred Spirits on the Roof is 20% off, making it £21.59. Battlefield Bad Company 2 is £3.74, 75% off. Prison Architect is £4.99, 75% off. Jotun is 50% off, making it £5.49. Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight is 20% off, making it £5.59. And Samurai Warriors 4 is £19.99 at 50% off. So there you go. A rather large selection, but small in comparison to the crippling amount of games on sale right now of today's sales. Overall, what are my recommendations? Well, there's a pretty nice selection of games today. I would say Undertale, Papers, Please, and probably The Witcher 3. I would say The Forest, but I haven't played it, so I don't want to recommend it based upon my sort of maybe hopes for the game. So, yeah, there you go. Those are my recommendations for today. Undertale, The Witcher, and Papers, Please. Enjoy your gaming, guys, and I'll see you tomorrow for more deals. Thanks for watching.